Hey, all my Aries friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about your May 2023 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. If you don't know your rising sign, you can check out any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth, location, and you just plug that in it and you'll be able to find out what your rising sign is. Also, these videos are based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. This is a big month, May. We have Jupiter changing signs. We have Pluto heading back towards Capricorn. We have a lunar eclipse, and we have a new moon and the reversal of the moon structure, meaning we're going into a period of time where the full moon will precede the new moon for a period of time before it course corrects back to its normal patterns. So let's jump right in with the Pluto retrograde starting on the 1st of May. Pluto has been at 0 degrees Aquarius in your 11th house of networks, of the collective consciousness, of your hopes, of your dreams, of innovation, of technology, of your raw genius for, I don't know, about maybe a month, 6 weeks it's been now. And as Pluto moves retrograde, never leaving the 0 degree energy. So there's a very large feeling of something new being birthed. And I believe part of that newness is an awareness of what is most authentic to you, what you have felt sort of at a deep core of what you want to experience or what you want to birth out into your networks. So here I feel as if the retrograde period is going to revisit some things that are going to give you an opportunity as Pluto moves back into Capricorn to renovate some of the structures that you have been working on. And that might be literally or emotionally and spiritually. When I say spiritually, I mean how you believe and as you're aware of your focus. Pluto is the great excavator, the psychologist, the Freud of the Zodiac, the Freudian, the Zoidi, the Freud of the Zodiac. So there's a real beginning to be more and more aware of your own motivations and a bravery and a willingness to liberate yourself from those energies. Next on the docket is the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Scorpio is your 8th house of transformation. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. Mars is the co-ruler of this eclipse, and it was the ruler of the solar eclipse on April 19th. So there's a very, very strong energy, a strong Martian energy about being willing to be brave, courageous, and to own and be accountable for how you are perceiving your experience on this earth, how you are integrating some of your reactionary behaviors and instinctual behaviors and the evolved version of yourself. I believe that this particular eclipse is very much playing back to the eclipses that we experienced in 2022 when we were on the Scorpio-Taurus axis. For you, Aries, this is the axis of your skills. Taurus is what you believe about yourself, your abilities, your confidence level, your self-worth, what you value, what you how you use your resources, how you save your money, how you spend your money, how you make your money, how you perceive your, what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel nourished. Second house rules food as well, being Taurus for you. And we're going to see a new moon in Taurus in your 2nd house, and we are now experiencing this lunar eclipse in your 8th house. This eclipse, this full moon, is illuminating your transformation. I believe that there could very well be a sense of accomplishment that is attached for you here. This lunar eclipse is making some positive aspects, or at least there are positive aspects happening at the same time. The sun, which is in opposition to the moon, is conjunct Uranus. Uranus is rules the 11th house, where Pluto has been at 0 degrees. So I think there is a real epiphany coming. I think there is maybe a sense of feeling in control of your emotional body, control of your when you get angry and frustrated, and how you want to show up versus reactionary, a historic reactionary dynamic that you may have been labeled by, or it's been some sort of tagline on your forehead, because the conjunction with Uranus and Taurus makes me feel as if I pop an old issue, I integrate it, I flatten it, I feel triumphant over it. That's why I feel like we're having a culmination. Venus is at 27 degrees Gemini. And yes, she's making a square to Neptune, which is sort of this tense conversation. But to me, it's a tense conversation because there's a part of me that wants to continue to see things through rose-colored glasses. And then the other part of me is saying that doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me to pretend that if I'm too assertive with people that they don't mind it. I really believe that Aries has had a big review and education about your communication, not only how you speak, but how you listen and how your physical body is aligned, your body language while you're going through your communications. All of that took place while your ruling planet Mars was in Gemini for 7 months. Now your ruling planet is the ruler of this eclipse season. Super, super powerful. And Venus is also making, even though there's a square going on between Venus and Neptune, Neptune is in Pisces in your 12th house, which could very much represent and places you don't feel seen, places where you feel alone, places where you feel stored away. And then in Gemini is being wanting to be seen in the community for the evolved version of yourself. I, Teri, as an intuitive astrologer, feel like a square in the chart within the aspects indicates a habitual, instinctual way of being, and then an awareness of an evolved version of myself that I want to really root into my physical experience, and yet it's not quite there yet. So it creates a push-pull because I have to take a breath before I take action. Now, Venus at 27 degrees in Gemini is making a sextile to Jupiter that's been transiting your first house for over a year. So I believe this is really where you are grabbing onto your self-worth. You're seeing the ebb and the flow of how this human experience rolls. And rather than being frustrated and trying to push up on things, you've learned how to sort of take a time to maybe play or self-care when things aren't moving as succinctly or as smoothly as you'd like them to be. So I think this lunar eclipse is going to be very, very beneficial. I really feel like this. And it is dominating your house of transformation. So there could be also an opportunity for there to be the end of feeling challenged with money, feeling challenged with resources to move your story forward. There could be an opportunity where you planted the seeds for some personal endeavor, and now people are supporting that, not just with their words, but with their material resources. We see on the 7th of May, Venus will move into Cancer. And Venus is comfortable in Cancer. She doesn't mind swimming around in the homeland waters. This is your 4th house. This feels very cozy to me, but it makes me feel a little bit like I'm starting to crave comfort foods or the foods of my childhood. I can't help but think of things like cream of wheat and Nestle's Quick and even some Stouffer's lasagna. My mom used to put that in the oven. I don't want to say make it because she just put it in the oven. So you may find yourself really starting to want to indulge in things that make you feel a sense of nostalgia. And very much some self-care, taking care of you. This might even not be such a bad idea to take a little siesta, little time off for yourself, maybe somewhere near the ocean. On the 14th, Mercury will turn direct in Taurus. Mercury has been traversing your 2nd house, started at 15 degrees of Taurus, and it was in an exact conjunction with the moon when it went retrograde. I did a separate video on that. You might want to check that out, because I really believe that it's very rare when a planet goes, it changes any direction or sign at the exact same time the moon is conjuncted. So I believe this was really about reviewing a lot of my emotional body, my nurturing body, my intuitive body, and the things that the moon would rule within my life. So I think this has been positive. And as Mercury goes direct, it will start going direct at 5 degrees, which is the Leo degree of my heart and my willingness to be courageous here as to what is important to my heart. On the 17th, Jupiter will move from your first house into your second house, and it will remain there for about a year. Now, initially, it's going to be squaring Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius, and Pluto is retrograde. This, again, the square is this tense conversation between an old version of myself that's very instinctual, very reactionary, very, it's easy sort of to go this direction. And then the square is really about implementing new beliefs, rooting into my physical experience in a very deep way, the evolved version of myself. And Jupiter would represent evolution, new ideologies, new philosophies, or an awareness of them that I am now putting into my physical experience. We also have Jupiter squaring Mars. Jupiter squaring Mars. Jupiter has entered Taurus, but Mars is at 28 degrees and it's about to move into Leo. So we have this Jupiter making a loose square to Mars, and then the square will become more tighter and tighter. Again, here we have this willingness on your behalf, because Mars is your ruling planet, to implement these new beliefs, to go into foreign lands, foreign directions, maybe even be brave enough to start a new education. You may want to go get a certification or get a higher level of education so it can bring more bounty and more wealth into your world. And you may be, can I do this? Can I add this onto my plate? And as you trust that tension is actually giving you an opportunity to trust the new path as you venture out, because you're really good at that. And this square is going to go on, as I said, through the rest of May, from the middle of May all the way through, and maybe even the beginning of June a bit. We also will see the beginning of Jupiter coming into a conjunction with the North Node, as the North Node is at the last degrees of Taurus. This is going to give a real strong pull and an expanded feeling for the new version of yourself, new experiences in your life, moving your life, really closing one chapter and starting another. Now, let me offer it this way, because part of that new beginning may have nothing to do with the outside world and physical structure. It may have a lot to do with the house of the eclipse, the transformation you've done at a psychological level, an awareness of an imprint and a pattern. And rather than trying to release it, which is an inadvertent focus on it, which can inflame it, you've turned away from it and just started purporting new energies, new behaviors, new thought processes, new focus that gives you a sense of strength moving forward. I think this is very, very powerful. We also have Mars at the late degrees, 28 degrees Cancer, starting an opposition with Pluto. As this opposition with Pluto becomes tighter, we will see it create a fixed grand cross to the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. And then, of course, we will see Jupiter making influence on the North Node. So this is really an energy through the second half of May that is, it can be a very frustrating energy, because the fixed energy doesn't want to change. It wants the outside world and outside dynamics to acquiesce to it, rather than the fixed energy shifting into the other. And I think this is where there's a true opportunity to step back for a minute and make a conscious choice, because the nodes are very, they're points where the soul gets to make choices. And that's what I think karma ultimately is. And the South Node, for me, while it's a point of erosion, oftentimes considered a point where we lose things, it's the tail of the dragon. I think this is an opportunity to be egoless in the surrender of a situation, so that I can be brave enough to stretch for that North Node, that new belief that Jupiter's offering as it's conjunct that North Node, and to really stretch for that. Because oftentimes the human, no matter how courageous they are in chasing their dreams, there's a default switch when things get scary. And I think a fixed Grand Cross can feel a little scary because it feels tight and unmoving. And Mars and Aries doesn't like to feel tight and unmoving. Okay. Is this this Grand Cross that I was talking about, again, it's going to be in play throughout the whole second half of the month. Also will bring up some themes from the solar eclipse on the 19th of April in your first house. So be aware of that. If you can look back into what was happening for you then, you'll start to see a little bit of this replay itself. The 20th and through the 24th, I think, has a potential to be quite emotionally charged. I feel as if the dynamics of having Pluto and Mars opposing them, it almost feels like two energies are saying the same thing, but they think they're saying something different. And that's it. And then the fixed nature of it is, no, listen to it my way. No, listen to it my way. And yet there's a similarity. So I want to offer you an awareness of that, so that you don't succumb to the tensions that the opposition can create. And the 24th, the moon is conjunct Mars, which is triggering. I kind of think of these like I hear Tommy the Pinball Wizard. So here's the moon zipping around the zodiac. And as it hits Mars, it hits the opposition, which hits the fixed, and it kind of goes like this. And it hits all the points. So being aware of the potentially emotional nature of that day, May 24th, 2023, you can make a choice of how you want to behave or how you want to feel emotionally. Real quickly, I recently went through a situation where there was a potential of something very bad happening. My dog got out of the house and he was kind of in a very panicked place, and he was headed towards the highway, and he didn't have a collar on. He didn't have anything to protect him. And I was able to grab him. And my moment as an Aries rising in the subsequent hours and days that followed was, am I going to continue to look at what could have happened in the bad way, or am I going to focus on the fact that we were protected and that nothing terrible happened? And this is an opportunity I have as I move forward, when I come up against challenging situations or dynamics that feel as if they're thwarting me or presenting challenges or disruptions. What side of this situation am I going to focus on? This is what I think is so powerful for Aries, because when Mars was going through Gemini for 7 months between 2022 and the beginning of 2023, it gave you an opportunity to really look at how you think, where you put your focus, how you speak to others, and how you listen to others, and how you respond to how they listen to you. So all of this feels like it comes up and gives you a new sense of awareness and a new sense of courage and bravery to implement the newer part of what you want to experience. So you're not worried so much about how other people are viewing you. You're more concerned with how you're viewing yourself, and you could be applauding yourself quite a bit. On the 21st, Mars will officially enter Leo and the Sun will enter Gemini, which is, again, we're going to feel that opposition as Mars is at 0 degrees and it's opposing Aquarius at 0 degrees. For you, this is in your Mars will enter your 5th house and Pluto is in your 11th house. So this is the house of romance, the house of personal pleasure, the house of personal expression and how you express yourself out into the world. So I think this is really, and I want to offer this too, because it may give you the bravery and the courage to start to implement something that you've been holding back on. And we have a new moon that is happening on the 19th, which I'm going to talk about. I'm sorry, I kind of skipped over that. Let me jump back up to the new moon, because that new moon in Taurus is at 28 degrees. 28th degree, again, reduces down to a 10. The 10 reduces down to a 1. So I see it as where's my focus? Where's my thought? How am I using my mind to give life to what I want to experience and my dreams and my hopes? I also think because this new moon is in Taurus, it's an opportunity to really start to build, to plant. It's a new moon. And I don't, in this particular case for my Aries, I'm not necessarily thinking that you're planting a teeny weeny little seed. I actually think you may be patiently tending your garden. And while the new moon comes in, it's giving you new growth, rather than just that little impetus of planting. I feel like that because the new moon is making a trine. So your second house is making a trine to Aquarius. And that feels very good to me. The new moon is making a sextile to Mars, which is at 29 degrees Cancer on the at this time. And the new moon is making the new moon is making a sextile to Mars. It's making a trine to Pluto retrograde. The new moon is also making a sextile to Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces. So here, this makes me feel as if there's something really fun and exciting that you've been working on, or you've been contemplating, or you've been aware of, and now it feels like it's the launch party. The new moon is the launch party. And I want to offer it this way because a lot of it may just be something psychological where you have turned an emotional corner and become more brave, more self-aware, more sure-footed in what it is that you're willing to pioneer and birth for yourself. Because we know Jupiter was just in your first house. Now it's going into your second house, offering you an opportunity to make money and wealth as a result of that shift. So I think that's super, super powerful. And I think that the idea that the moon cycles are shifting for a while so we get the opportunity to have this illumination before we plant new seeds. I don't know when it's going to shift back, but it will sometime, I think, towards the end of 2023. I'll have to do more research on that. The final thing I want to talk about is on the 31st of May, the moon will make a conjunction to the south node at 3 degrees Scorpio. I think this could potentially be a day that's quite emotional. And I don't know if I think it's a negative emotional. It could be a day where you're really celebrating everything that you have evaluated, reviewed, assessed, implemented in this month. That, having it start with a Mercury retrograde, having the idea that Mars was in Gemini, which Mercury rules for so long, this really feels like Aries gets an opportunity to take the bull by the horns and to really start to tenaciously, plow those fields and tend in a way that has a great amount of faith and trust and focus. And this feels as if it's going to give you an opportunity over the next year and a half to see a lot of things come to fruition, and things that maybe at one point in your life you didn't even think were possible. And now they feel very possible and even probable. All right, that's it for me for the month of May for Aries rising. This is also applicable for moon, sun, and stelliums, although the house structure will be different. Please like, please subscribe, please share. And if you would like to join me on Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Pacific time, that's where we get the angels' advice for traversing the transits for the week ahead. And I do a tarot as well as an angel spread for you all. So thank you so much. I will see you next month. Peace out.